think we've got much more representation now. So let me do a quick roll call for purposes of the recording. Ann Crawford,
Here.
Linda Thier is here. Joanne, I just explained why she can't say here. Angie,
Here.
Julia,
Uh, yes, I'm here.
thank you. Amy,
I'm here.
Carol Stockman, uh, Ian Hauk,
Here.
Lacey,
Here.
Leslie Dunn, Michelle, Jean.
Here.
Up here comes Leslie. Paula
Here.
and Betsy
Here.
and Leslie. Leslie, I
Hi.
think you
Here.
came on before or after I called your name. So
Okay, I'm here.
great. Thank you so much. So welcome. Thank you for the last minute adjustment. Ann and I figured everybody would probably rather take this from the comfort of their living room than to deal with the cold today. So we'll have a get together when the weather's nicer. Um, the consent agenda included a whole bunch of things, including the minutes, the financial report, nominating report, membership, scholar relations, university relations, program report, communications, and fund development. On the minutes, Jean identified the fact that we noted scholar alum that would include Stephanie Heilman, which makes sense, although her spelling is technically not correct. But then we list Susan Wilkinson and Elizabeth Wilkinson. And I think Susan Wilkinson was a member, not a scholar alum. Do you have any recollection of? And Elizabeth Wilkinson, I think, is the same person as Susan. That's just technically
I
her
think so.
official first name.
Mhm.
So
Suzanne Wilkinson.
Suzanne. So do we
Suzanne
remember
Wilkinson
what
is
the
is my
conversation?
age. Is
What?
my age and Carol Hepner's age and
Yeah.
a friend of ours. And
Right.
I think she's still a member, but she's one of us, not a scholar.
Yes, and I didn't see her on our current membership list, so I don't think she has renewed. And
I think she's not renewing. She renewed for 1 year because of Beth and then decided she wasn't getting enough out of it.
okay. So for purposes of correcting the minutes, do we remember what the conversation was about Suzanne that,
I don't remember Suzanne, sorry.
okay,
It was from Linda, that was from the recording that was there. We could not pull the full recording last time because of the way it was saved. So the
okay,
co-pilot or chat assistant pulled that information in for us.
okay,
So I don't recall the conversation on that.
all
And
right.
truly, name it. Yeah.
So
If
we'll
there's
just,
something more, we can just
yeah,
scratch that because
just
I was
edit
not
the
present for that.
Suzanne and the Elizabeth reference, and yes, Stephanie will be converting to a scholar ambassador.
Okay.
All right. And there will be the development report. One of the attachments for the development report has been updated and will be pulled out for discussion along with the Scholar Award recommendations. So, any objections to or corrections to anything else? Oh, and here comes Michelle. In the consent agenda.
I just want to call one thing out for the communications report.
Yes.
We're delaying the winter newsletter until mid-February. So if you have content, get it to me by the 25th.
Thank you. And Rosemary joined too, so we can update our attendance. Hello, everybody. All right, we're going to jump right into our discussion topics. And the first thing on our list is something that we're continuing from previous meetings. We have a recommendation on our planned giving. So, Jean, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Sarah, if you want to bring up that resolution while I talk, that would be great. And also the San Diego fact sheet.
The resolution was part of the board package and the
Yeah.
fact sheet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, they just all have different names. When so, give me a minute. I will pull them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
They
No
both
worries.
say planned giving. So you look for planned giving. There are two documents. Anyway, while we're waiting, this is a continuation of our discussion from the last board meeting when the development committee was talking about the wisdom of encouraging our members to think about ARCS Foundation in their estate planning, and how to go about doing that, and whether the board would agree to let us develop that. So Missy Unkovic, bless her heart, did a lot of research and found several chapters that have specific planned giving initiatives. And there's an example here from the San Diego chapter, which she thought had the most comprehensive approach. And I hope you have the opportunity to read through this fact sheet. And as a result, the development committee discussed what our next step might be in this. And basically, we're basically asking the board for permission to go ahead and develop an opportunity, which we will then bring back to the board for approval. It could range, the range is amazing of what we could do. At the very least, we could include in our newsletters and our messaging, gee, it would be a good idea if you thought about ARCS Foundation in your will. End of story, end of message, end of initiative. So that would be at the very minimum. Or we could do things like San Diego that basically says, if you want to give this amount, you could have an endowment in your will. So there are all sorts of permutations in between. The development committee is willing to think about those and construct what we think makes sense for the Pittsburgh chapter. So if you give us the go ahead. So Sarah, put up the resolution itself, please. Okay, so thanks for making it larger. So whereas ARCS Pittsburgh wants to increase its fundraising capabilities, and whereas numerous nonprofit organizations, both large and small, have legacy opportunities for their donors, and whereas several ARCS chapters also have donor legacy opportunities, and whereas the Pittsburgh Fund Development Committee has presented to the board examples of what such an opportunity might entail, it is resolved that the ARCS Pittsburgh board directs the Fund Development Committee to develop a legacy opportunity which would ask donors to include ARCS Pittsburgh in their estate planning. So that's all we're asking for right now, is the go ahead to work on this.
Mm-hmm.
So this comes as a motion from the development committee.
Right.
To you.
We don't need a second. So any discussion before we take a vote to just pursue with the opportunity?
Good idea.
I don't see any hands. So all those in favor?
Hi.
Say
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will ask you to take a few minutes and look through all of the materials that we sent. that were included in the board packet. I guess it was just really the fact sheet. If you have questions or you want to make suggestions that we should consider, please do so. We would be most happy to get your input. Okay,
Thank you, Jean.
you're welcome.
Sarah, could you call up the updated chart from the development committee? And we're going to start the next conversation with with reviewing what's a very informative summary of where all of our money came from this year. So
Okay, I'm on again.
Yep, you're on again.
On again. Great. And I will ask you, I'm not going to cover the entire development report here because we have lots of things to do on the agenda, but I do ask that you read through the development report at some point to get a sense of what we've done and where we're going. But for the purpose of this discussion, I want to concentrate on the middle column, the big wide column that says status. I think I mentioned last month the kind of anomaly that the development committee works on a totally different calendar than the rest of the organization. The rest of the organization has a fiscal year that starts July 1 and ends June 30. The development committee, in order for us to make a decision about the awards we're going to give in September of this year, has to have our money collected by January or by the end of December. So our responsibilities and our calendar, our work scope goes from January to December, crosses fiscal years. So this report basically says what has happened in the last 12 months. And the money that we've collected, the new revenue, scholar fund donations of 34,100, the results of the Spring Scholar Showcase proceeds, 8,600. The special fund for Beth Wainwright's presidency in honor of Beth for an award in her name, 15,000. We didn't get any grants that were recorded in that 12-month period. We did have a $5,100 coming from the Altavia fundraiser in the fall. And that gave us a total of new money or new commitments for money of 62,800. We also have at the moment, and this changes on a daily basis, 10,900 in new investment income for a total of cash available of $73,700. So that's enough. That's almost 5 chapter awards. 73,700 divided by 15,000 gives you 4.9 chapter awards. So we still need 1,300 in order to complete a 5th award, but we probably can find 1,500, I'm sure, somewhere in the bank account. To the next box, we had a goal of 2 named awards this year. And we have 1.5 commitments for named awards. One from Becky and Tom McGough for Pitt, and another half of a named award from Susan Creighton for a total of 22.5 towards that 30,000 that we need. We still need 7,500 in order to complete that second award. And unfortunately, the 7,500 that I thought we might have from a donor, we don't have. So that 7,500 would have to be supplied by the chapter. Scrolling down one more, we had a goal of one endowment, and we have that one endowment, new endowment committed for Pitt. It's the Eau Claire, Burke, and Pittsburgh chapter member endowment, with the third donor being Peggy Rosenzweig. And in addition to the $100,000 committed, Karen Eau Claire has also committed $10,000 over 5 years toward the chapter match for this endowment. So we have $110,000 in endowment related commitments. So if you add those numbers up, the 73 and the 22 and the 110, we get $206,200 raised or committed. And this is funding available for a total of 6.5 and possibly 7 chapter awards if we find, if Linda and Ann and Joanne can find the additional 7,500 that we need. So 6.5 and possibly 7 chapter and named awards and 1 endowed award for a total of 7.5, possibly 8 new awards. In addition, and that's the decision we're going to be making in a few minutes. But in addition, I just want to tell you that we also have 2 endowments that are rolling over this year, 2 CMU endowments. So there will be 2 new CMU scholars supported by those endowments in September. So in total, we could have a total of either 9 or 10 new scholars in September. So that's it from me.
Good work.
Yeah, I think this chart is very helpful and useful for us in setting development goals for the upcoming year. A couple things I will point out that the 73,000 that was raised in the chapter area, there are some of these that are somewhat unusual that won't necessarily be reoccurring. So we need to keep that in mind. We had a great year of fundraising. The Spring Scholar Showcase had the painting included in there, which we don't have another painting donated. The Beth Wainwright Opportunity obviously was a one-time effort. Right. And the Altavia dinner, you can only do that twice before they ask you to take a break. So that is not available. So we did have some unusual, and the investment income, as we all know, kind of can come and go. So we had a great year. And so I want everybody to keep that in mind as we move on to the next.
To thinking about next year.
Yes.
Well, I will say that the committee was conservative in setting our goals for the next year. We kept it at 2 chapter awards, 2 named awards, and 1 endowment, in the hopes that we might do as well as we've done this year. So we'll see what happens next year. But yeah, for this year, this is what we have available.
So Betsy has a question before we move off this chart.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, I have a lot of noise here at my house, but I have a question. Is there a thought to kind of smooth out the curve of new scholars at the different universities? Because from a university standpoint, it's good to know. I mean, obviously, this is tremendous, and we want to get people in as soon as we can that we can fund them. But on the other hand, we don't want it to say, all right, Pitt, you can have 10 new people this year and 0 next year.
We'll talk about, we'll have a better vision of that on the next chart.
Yeah.
Ann, you
but
wanted
it's a good question.
Yeah. Ann, you wanted to make a comment?
No, I just had a question under chapter notes. Jean, is it that we need $1,300 to get for the 5th award? Not 1,500.
I mean, technically speaking, if we have 73,700 in our piggy bank.
I see where. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
And you need 75,000 to fund 5 awards. Okay, so it's 1,300.
Yeah, math challenge today. Thanks, Jean.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Sarah, if you could please switch displays to the next one called Future Scholar Awards Proposal. And thank you to Joanne and Angie, who are very competent finance team who put this together. I think this is a very helpful illustration of where we are. Lots of numbers on this chart, but I'm going to have you focus on the column that says updates for fiscal year 2027. So we have, obviously, our third year scholars will be completing. So second and first year rolling over in column I will be 22 scholars. You can see how they're split between CMU and Pitt. We had existing endowments that at CMU that will roll over and name two new scholars. And as Jean just highlighted on our previous chart, we have a brand new Pitt endowment. So we will have three scholars named for the upcoming year out of the endowment program. And if you could scroll down just a little bit, I want to show you. So another way of looking, yeah, don't go down too far because I'd like to see both the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm really being picky. Thank you. So if you do the mathematical review of kind of our cash, our assets, and what we owe in the future for awards that we've committed to endowment matches that we've committed to, and holding a little bit back for an operating reserve. If you do that math, it gives us funds available of $120,000, 121 almost. And if you do the math on that, $15,000 per award, theoretically we could do 8 awards comfortably. But as Joanne and I and Angie reviewed this, we said, let's do 7 because of 2 things. We did have a great year of kind of unique fundraising that may not easily repeat. And we don't have, we don't have as many endowments coming up next year as we did this year. So it would be nice again to achieve that smoother look that Betsy was just referring to. And I think that does make sense because we don't want to give the university the opportunity to have 10 scholars one year and then 2 scholars the next year because they obviously would like to have a more predictable, even flow that they can use for recruiting purposes. So go up a line or two, please. There we go. All right. So if we did 3 at Pitt, or excuse me, 3 at CMU and 4 at Pitt. And I weighted a little bit more to Pitt because we intentionally, you'll notice last year in column F, we did not give any chapter awards to Pitt because they had 6 coming through the endowment program. So we intentionally held funds over and commented to Pitt that we would hold those funds over for their purposes for this year. So that's why my initial recommendation was to weight 1 more to Pitt. And if we went with that split, then it would mean we'd have 15 scholars at CMU and 17 scholars at Pitt.
Okay.
So comments, discussion, thoughts?
So essentially, we're going from 27 scholars to 32 scholars.
Yes. Hooray.
A big leap.
It
Yeah.
is a big leap.
Yep.
It is a big leap. And while everybody is pondering these numbers, I will also add some historical perspective that when we were initially setting up this endowment program and we knew we were going to make this $15,000 commitment for each endowment, I was concerned about whether we would be able to continue to
To do that.
support the number of internal scholars to kind of keep the numbers up. But fortunately, we have had success in our fundraising that we have been able to grow the numbers. So I can't tell you how pleased I am at all aspects of this.
And just for your information, I just looked at that scholar summary Excel spreadsheet that is part of my fund development report. And next year, we have two endowed scholars turning over at Pitt and two endowed scholars turning over at CMU. So it will be very balanced scholar input next year from the endowment program. That's not always the case.
Well, we'll have to double check that because Joanne's schedule here, that's what the far columns on the right are. So in column U, she indicated we would have three at CMU and one at Pitt next year.
We're talking about the 27, 28
Correct.
fiscal year, right? That's what I
Correct.
thought I looked at.
So that was kind of the purpose.
Oh,
of
you're
putting-
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. It was 3 at CMU and 2 at Pitt. I missed one. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay.
My fault.
One thing to consider is that if you looked at the membership numbers from last year, we were at 95, and this year we are at, I think, 80. Although I think from the numbers, we are now at 84, maybe, but the comparable year measurement was 95 to 80. So we had a decrease in membership by 16%. So that's something to consider as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, our membership now is at 85.
85, good. So
And I think
95
there's
to
one
85.
more, hopefully mail-in 8 that would put us at 86. So
Love it, Becky.
oh,
But anyway, that's something to consider, that we had been at 95.
Right.
When the measurement was
Yep.
Now the best we are doing is 86. So that's still a big decline.
Yes.
Yes.
And we all need to work together, not just the membership committee. We all need to work together to bring our friends into this organization so that we can get back up to the 90s or 100 members.
Yeah. One of our new members, by the way, is Joanne's across the street neighbor. So she's working on it, even as she flies to Florida. I just sent her a letter this morning. Yeah.
The question I had when we're looking at budget wise, have we looked at that additional year or said, what is it if our membership stabilizes, I don't know, at 86, or that it takes us incremental, that we may not get up to 90, 5 new members. Although last year we had a good growth in members, but I think it outpaced our either deaths or resignations. So I don't know, when you've looked at, budget purposes, like one more year out, can we sustain the 32?
I think Joanne can't really talk because she's on a plane and she was working with the budget, so I can't speak to that. But it's significant when you increase the number of scholarships or awards to 32 and then have a decrease in your membership. Now, a lot of those awards are endowment awards, so the money is there.
Right.
So again, if you look in column V, with just the rollover in endowment awards, we would have 24. So that means that we would have to have, in order to sustain 32 scholars, we would need 8 new chapter named awards or a new endowment. So it would be a little bit of a stretch. So you know,
I
and
mean,
you can,
there's no rule that says we have to keep the same level each time. We will
Correct.
try very hard
Right.
to do that, obviously, but
correct.
yeah. I do want to make sure you understand, and I think it's very wise to go for 7 chapter / named awards this year, plus the 2 rollover endowed awards. So you have a total of 9 new awards. Because, as I pointed out, we still need 1,300 to complete the 5th chapter award. We need 7,500 to complete the 2nd named award. And we need the additional 5,000 to complete the chapter match for the endowed award. So that's almost as much as that 8th award would have been. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well, and
think it's
all of those are included in this January 26, numbers.
yes, yeah,
You just have
Right.
granularized it
yeah,
in the categories, but it's
right,
all considered in the 8.1
yeah,
that's totally available. So we're reserving one that would obviously carry over to help us next year. And as we talked about in the development committee, we think it's pretty comfortable that we can get 2 out of just the recurring membership. And if we can get 2 other named awards and 1 endowment, we wouldn't be far off from maintaining kind of the same level. I think we could
yeah.
get to 30, if not 32.
Anyway, that's not the decision for today. The decision for today is
Correct. We're just going for today. So other comments before we put this to a vote? Seeing none, since this is coming from finance, I don't think we need a second, but finance has proposed that we have 3 awards that are chapter / named awards that will be funded for CMU and 4 for the University of Pittsburgh. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Fabulous. Motion carries. I'm sure the universities will be thrilled. This is a great number for us. We had a great year of fundraising. So thank you all. Scholar Showcase.
Yeah.
We have Paula's name next to it. Are you talking about this, Paula, or is Ann?
I thought I was talking about it and Paula
I-
was the ambassador.
Okay, well-
Missed a spacing
Okay.
on it.
Great.
So sorry about that typo. So Scholars Showcase, we've done some preliminary work on it. I've reached out to Ellen Pisco, and she was over at the Frick Environmental Center and talking with Linda, and the Frick was so great to work with last year. Their pricing for nonprofits was just unbelievably manageable and more than reasonable. So Ellen reached out to them and looked at some dates, and what looked really good is April 29th. And Leslie and Michelle are double checking to see if there is any challenges around for our 3rd year students. Pitt and CMU calendars do not align very well, so it's we work with the best we can. I know last year.
Said April 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's during finals for CMU.
So we were going to ask them.
And does that
what
impact our 3rd year scholars?
Yeah. We were going to do a more personal outreach to the third year scholars, Michelle, just to see, because last year, in the period where we thought like it worked, it really impacted third year scholars going to with their professors to conferences to present things. And so we did the best we could do with, with that date. So we need that answer pretty quickly. There are some other dates available, but we'd have to work around the logistics of it's, well, there's school children programs there, so it makes our setup and breakdown a little more challenging. So that's the most important thing right now. We thought in talking a small group, things worked out well with the people that we use for catering and also for, our wine and beverages. So once we had some dates in mind, we were going to reach out to them to see if that was something that we would be able to work with. Some of the other dates were more Fridays, Saturdays, which then gets into problems of people on the catering or other sides are doing weddings. So it's just trying to balance those dates. But things worked well last year with the format, the layout, and different things. We have, I think, is it 13 third year scholars? I remember my counting. So we'll need to make sure that how we start laying out the program and we'll start pulling a committee together. We had some new members that wanted to be on the planning committee and got a host committee. We will start we're trying to pull that together and get that stuff started next month to get some traction and get ahead of that. But we've got a good playbook and we've got some interested people that want to support us, in the logistics and things. So I think we will be in fairly good order. But Michelle, hearing from you and Leslie is really critical.
Yeah, so if the 29th doesn't work, then we really need you to tell us what timeframes would be preferable, so then we can specifically explore those other options.
Michelle, let me ask you, you mentioned that that's the period of final exams. We're talking about third year scholars, I assume in a PhD program, and usually they're done with their courses by the end of the second year. So would the exam period affect them?
PhDs, you're done with the majority, but not all of your
But
courses.
not all.
It depends on the program, though.
Mm-hmm.
We can certainly ask. They might be fine with that. We were just happened to be looking at some dates for some events for the scholars and Leslie and I, and so that I brought up when I looked at the CMU calendar. I don't work there, but that's what they have. And then for Pitt, let me see, I can look that up quickly. So when their finals are. I teach, but not Pitt classes. It's like external. So
yeah.
I don't, let me see.
I think the thing was we didn't want to be on last year was we were to avoid was it the prep week before finals, and at some point we just need to figure out
Final exams are also that week for Pitt for undergrads, it says. I don't know about grad students.
Right.
So we can just reach out and ask.
Yeah. And then if there's a week, we need an idea about week and alternatives, and then we can see what availability is available over at Frick.
And what time would this start?
Last year we had to start a little bit later. We started at 5:30 because we had a children's program. And so they needed time to break down and for us to set up. So we could start earlier at 5, if we wanted to, on the 29th, and then we just need to start laying out the program of, if you think of 12 scholars and we say 3 to 5 minutes and it takes one to come down, let's say 5 minutes. Well, there's an hour of our time with that, and people eating and socializing and all of that good stuff.
Why the 15th wouldn't work, besides it being tax day.
What?
The 15th is a national in-person board meeting. And so several of our members are involved in national, so I think we would lose some attendance.
Yeah,
Okay.
it leaves me and possibly Linda.
Yeah.
I think you'd lose about 10 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosemary, you had a question?
Yeah, and one thing to consider about the start time is if there's, and it's likely there will be, if there's children's programming in the facility prior to our event, we cannot bring in any alcohol until they're gone, which will cut back on our setup time. So I would recommend that we do that 5:30 start so that the caterer and the wine all can be handled in enough time before our guests arrive.
Well, Rosemary, I'm trying to avoid the 29th. There is no children's program. What we've been
Oh,
trying to
okay.
do
Oh, that's good
is,
then. Then we would be able to get in early.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
So
I
if we
remember
had everything-
that challenge for Lisa
Yeah.
and all of us
Yeah.
that day. The unloading and the chain of passing on and everything. So we
Yeah.
were
Okay,
really
good,
looking
good.
at
That's
dates
good.
where there were no children programs, so we could,
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
Right. And I do think the one other thing is we may have people who, they may not have courses, but they may have labs or animal things that they're doing. So we need to be mindful of the scholars in terms of, can they get there for 5 o'clock, or is 5:30 better for them because of their own program needs?
Right. And our focus is on the 3rd-year scholars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the third years that we have to worry about. So specifically, we really need to know if there are any time constraints for them in terms of start time.
Yeah, I don't see anything earlier. And when I'm talking
I
about
don't either.
5 is them getting people in. They get their name tag, they get a drink, they get some food to eat. And then figuring out when would we start the because
program.
the program got started late, but we still had to be out of the building at the same end time because we had to be out, and then they had to get set up for the children to arrive at 8 a.m. the next morning.
Now,
So
is that
that's
going to
why-
be true? Yeah, is that true also for this date of the 29th?
No, yeah, we're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a golden date.
Okay, so we'll have
yeah.
to think about that as the golden date and
Yeah,
see if we can
yeah.
actually pull it off.
Right, but if we don't want the thing where the May 15th we lost 10 of our board members.
Right.
We don't want to lose
absolutely.
10 of our 3rd-year scholars on the April 29th. So we've got to balance. We've got to balance it out with that. And we were thinking that midweek was better than a Friday. With that. So that's how we were when Ellen and I were talking, just to get over to Frick quickly to just see what was available and what we could work with.
So Leslie and Michelle, how quickly can you either confirm or propose other dates so that we can lock this up and lock up our catering and other, I don't want to wait till the next board meeting to.
Right.
I mean, we can send the email out today. Do we have a time frame that you want to hear back by?
ASAP. How about by the end of the month?
Yeah.
End of January.
Yeah, I have to look back
decision.
at my notes. I'm not sure how long Frick was willing to hold.
Hold the date.
Yeah. So we can release the May date. I'll get back to Ellen after today's. It'll probably be it will be tomorrow that we can release the May the May date. With that. So I would say soon, this as soon as possible. To me, text or email and a week. I wouldn't even go
Yeah,
to the end of the month.
I agree. I think we should just let them know that we need to know right away.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The sooner you know and be able to confirm
Yeah.
that, the
Yeah.
better off we
Yeah.
are.
I mean, the 13 of them, it may be that the two of you divide them and one calls 6 people and one calls 7 if they don't respond. I mean, it's
Right,
not like we're looking at, but we need to figure our plan out.
Yep.
The other thing I would just like to mention is that last year we had the painting that was auctioned, which was a nice, successful fundraiser for the event that added to the proceeds. So one thing I would like this group to think about is what should we do for incremental fundraising at the event? Are there auction items that make sense on a limited basis? I don't think we want to get into having 10 auction items, but is there, we did a dinner at the mansions one year that everybody paid whatever the amount was, $150 a person. And that was a lovely fundraiser, so something like that. So we don't, need to make any decisions, but I wanted people
Right.
to, if you have ideas, the other thing we have kicked around as a group is, would there be a scholar who has a special talent, like a musical talent, who would be willing to do an in-home concert or performance as a fundraiser that would be an auction item? So some of those things, get your creative auction juices flowing and shoot Anne and the committee ideas.
Yeah. Well, we'll be forming the committee uh, later this month, so we can get our work started. And that'll be one of the things also to look at. Oh, and on dinner, when the mansions was, we had 3 scholars. The draw was 3 scholars played really beautiful music. And it was limited to, I think, maybe 4 tables of, so it was a limited dinner, and it was more of an auction item, but we could put a price to it and something like that. But I'm sure we'll have other people that have some really great ideas. But I think that's a start for the Scholar Showcase. I'll turn it now over to Paula for the Scholar Ambassador Program update.
Okay, and I'm just part of a committee supporting Leslie and Michelle because it's part of Scholar Relations. So please jump in. We had our meeting a few days ago, and we need to gather a lot of information. Sarah has sent out the letters, our first batch of letters. So we need to understand what letters actually made it to the ambassadors, who's putting their information into the portal. What other protocols do we need to reach our ambassadors and get them engaged? So that's going to be a bit of a research effort. I would just add that when we do the showcase, that's an opportunity to get the scholar updated information for their post 3rd year. We should make that a part of our standard protocol. The committee clearly agrees that we should have some type of event. The scholar ambassadors and the scholar alums want to connect. Emmanuel participated in the meeting, and he very eloquently points out there has to be something in it for the scholars, to be willing to do this. And he's a very altruistic person, but we know it's a transactional world. So we need to think about, what that might be. And so your thoughts would all be appreciated. But having some social event that's a networking event is what we're kicking around. And then on the more technical side, the committee was very pleased that the board approved the concept of scholar ambassador, but there were some thoughts about tweaking the letter that we sent. And one issue is since a male can, in perpetuity be an ambassador, could a female ambassador have that as an option as well? So we need to do some wordsmithing, and we will. And I think we also noted that it would be important to figure out how we have, I'll say, our donors who are the sponsors of a particular scholar going forward, how we develop a protocol that they are reaching out and engaging their scholars. So, at any rate, Leslie, Michelle, I hope that adequately summarizes our meeting and what you'd like to accomplish.
Yes, it does. Good summary.
Okay.
Very good summary.
Joanne is dropping off. Safe travels, Joanne.
One thing, I'm sorry,
question.
on this, there's one thing I just thought of. When we were looking at membership renewals last year, we had 3 that were scholars that they didn't renew payment.
Right.
And did we make sure that those 3 carried over to the mailing list? There was a Joanna. I can't remember them right now, but I just remember there were 3, and we put them pending, not to do any outreach because we knew that the ambassador program, was coming.
Yeah, so Stephanie Heilman was 1, Jill Glossier, Taryn Amanamuro, I think are the 3 that were listed in our program as scholar alumni.
Okay. I don't know. I thought there was one that had like a longer name, like with a U or an S. Okay, but just so that those carried over, that'd be great. Okay, thanks.
So, Anne, just so I'm clear, you're saying that they carried over as scholar alum, not scholar ambassadors.
So they should carry over as a scholar ambassador.
Okay.
And I had a question for Sarah. I was looking on the database to see, is there a separate category of where these folks can be found in the database?
I made a category, ARCS Pittsburgh Scholar Ambassadors, which is that's a mailing list for all those people. But
is that under scholars,
everyone.
or is it under contacts, or is it under members?
It's a group under contacts.
Under contacts.
It's a mailing group.
Okay.
So it doesn't differentiate between if they ever responded or not. It's just everyone that it went to.
Okay.
So we can tweak it, or we can do whatever.
And Linda, we're going to go over that on right after this meeting.
Okay.
We're going to meet with Sarah.
Cool.
So you and hopefully Anne and I and Sarah will stay on.
Okay. Anything else on that topic? All right, Anne, back to you. Any update on the operations policies?
My apologies and a promise that I'll get something out to the group. And maybe we can off meetings, since our next meeting isn't until March, finalize those policies. I just lost sight of it.
I think we're close, and we had a couple of tweaks made to them that we just want to make sure we're reviewing. Joanne and I are working diligently to get a lot of the financial documents to Sarah so that we can get those loaded in the library. So I think we've made some good progress on that in the meantime. So the last item, which I thought we would put on a discussion topic since I think it is important, is that it came to our attention that some of the CMU scholars didn't get their checks until maybe late December from the fall, or maybe even early January. Angie uncovered this, and Leslie has been in conversations. Both of them have been in conversations with CMU. Maybe you could give a little background of one of you about the challenge, and then I think we need to think about, because we obviously would like the scholars to get their funds earlier in the semester, what we can do proactively to kind of get this information turned around quicker, so that the scholars aren't left in the lurch.
Leslie, do you want to do that, or do you want me to?
Actually, Angie, I'd like you to do it simply because you have the direct contact. You gave a very eloquent summary of what the problems are with CMU in terms of their procedures.
Okay, I'll do that. And basically what I'll do is read from the email I sent to the committee.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got in touch with Beth Byer. There was a person named Erin Walsh who said that she had not yet received her funding and was wondering when it would be received. And so I called Beth, and she noted that Erin's Walsh's payment wasn't late, and this was in December. My conversation with Beth was on December 3rd, and she said it wasn't late. Beth said it wasn't late. She said that the distribution process begins when CMU receives ARCS funding in the fall and in the spring, and then takes up to 2 months each semester before it's completed. When CMU receives our funding, that's when we send the check to them, and we send that usually in October and then again in March. That sets off CMU's process. And since they want to keep the endowed awards at the same time as the named awards, they do the same thing right then. Anyway, Beth said that the process is complex and covers 3 schools, 2 financial offices, and the CMU tax office. She said that a lot of people are involved who must sign off before the distributions are finalized and made to the students. Beth noted that this is the same process they use on all of their grants. So it isn't just the ARCS grants that are involved in this. She mentioned that if we wanted to have it happen earlier, the same 2-month process would be backed up to when they received our money. And of course, our money isn't received until we get a sign off from CMU and that the scholars are still eligible. And Betsy, you wrote a nice piece about that as to when, what has to happen before they find that the scholars are eligible. So I think we are where we are. It doesn't sound to me like there's a lot of give here if we require them to be eligible, and then that's when we send our money. And then they're just going to have this 2-month process. By the way, let me just tell you, for the Pitt scholars, it's an entirely different process. Right. They know that we're going to send the money. They've got the endowment money already on hand, and they know that we're good for the money. So they just give the money to their students early in the semester, and they don't go through all of the process that CMU goes through. I think that covers it.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention, so this has been happening for years.
Yeah.
It's just that we were alerted to it because this one scholar legitimately had a question about it, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the other thing that we're going to have to do is make sure that when we are having our orientation with the new scholars and also updating the 2nd and 3rd year scholars, that their money will not be coming to them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
managing their expectations is a good point.
Yes, trying to manage that is going to be key. I also think that what we have to do is be sure for any of the new 1st year scholars in particular, we ought to be able to know that they're eligible, because otherwise they wouldn't have been nominated to begin with.
The eligibility has to do with their continuing grade point average. And
exactly, right. And I would think that the continuing grade point average for the second and third year scholars shouldn't we be able to get that by the end of their spring semester?
Betsy, you want to address that?
Well, I know in CMU, we talked specifically, they wait until the drop add period at the beginning of each new semester. Like every new semester is a whole new world.
Right. Okay.
The clock starts over new because something can happen over the summer or somebody starts, but then they decide to drop all their classes
Right.
or their credits. So their approach is everything is, we got to wait until we go through our process, which is the students enroll for the fall, and then they have up until whatever their drop add is,
Yeah.
which is later. And then she can go to all the department heads who
Have
have
to sign off.
scholars, and then they sign off, and then she tells us.
Do you mind if I pipe in a little, Betsy? I think that the reason why they can't do it earlier is that one of the requirements is full-time enrollment.
Right. And if you,
So like Betsy said, like you
drop
have to really
something.
be enrolled. So if you were to say in spring, that's just the grades. That's not going to be enrollment in the fall.
Right. Right. So you have to, usually the add drop period is about 3 weeks to 4 weeks after school starts. So if everybody starts, say, the first week of September, by the end of September, that should be the end of the add drop period.
Correct. And then that's when Beth
Then
is
the
trying to
clock.
get,
Yep.
that's to get them. Then she says, okay, so now department head, you have 2 scholars or whoever it is,
Right.
and you have to get back to me. And then she gets back to us. And then us,
Yeah.
we, Angie, et cetera, immediately writes that check and gets it to them. But now it's mid to October.
Right. And by the time they get
And then their clock
procedures,
starts ticking for 2
right,
months.
again.
And now it's the end of December. So there you have it.
Yeah. That may be, I guess maybe what we need to do then, at least for the CMU students, is just sort of say, don't expect your check until, December. And if they happen to get it sooner, fantastic. But at least just let them know that don't be surprised if you don't get your check until sometime in December. Because I know how cumbersome the procedures can be. And if and when you've got multiple schools and multiple programs, if one of them, holds up their approval, then you're going to wait until everybody has signed off on it before you actually start processing.
So they don't approve them scholar by scholar. They approve them en masse.
They, what she said is when they're all done with covering the 3 schools and the 2 financial officers and the CMU tax office for all of them, that's when they distribute funds. And she said
all at once. Yeah.
They do this for all of the various granting organizations.
Okay.
So we're not different than anybody else.
Okay.
So anyway, that's
thank you. Well,
Thank you
that actually is good. That is good information. And what we can do then is just adjust what we are saying.
Yeah.
And I do think we probably are, for at least for CMU, even if we accelerated the process by, it doesn't sound to me like we're going to be able to accelerate the process very much.
No.
Because it's going to be driven by the end of the add drop period to determine full-time eligibility. And if that happens to be toward the end of September, we're not going to accelerate it any sooner.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And Angie, were you able to get back to Aaron Walsh?
Pardon me? Are you telling me?
I don't know who Aaron Walsh reached out to, but were we able to get back to her, say we investigated it and how the process went? I don't know who she reached out to.
She initially reached out to me, and then that's when we reached out to everybody else to find out really what was going on. What I'd like to do is actually, I think what we need to do for CMU, but particularly for Erin, is that she should not be expecting her award for at least, she isn't going to get it till almost the end of the spring semester.
But I think for her to understand all the work that went into we set up meetings and all the things, and thanking her so she knows that it's one way we've supported her. I think that just closing that communication loop would be great.
Right. Okay. I most certainly had let her know that we were working on it, and we had multiple people, contacting CMU and so forth. But I think what we need to do is just really be sure that CMU folks in particular realize that for the second and third years, they would have seen it happen already. So they're sort of used to it. But for the first years in particular, they need to realize that that money isn't going to be realized right away.
Okay, good. Okay.
Great. Thank you. I thought it was important that everybody be aware of this, and I'm not sure what we can do to change it, other than I like the idea of communication to the scholars.
To the scholars, yep.
Yeah. All right. Any topics that anybody wants to bring up for board consideration? We're kind of getting into wrapping up. We attached an updated action item list. One thing I will let you know, I haven't given up on our initiative to kind of move the Penn State effort forward. So I continue to have conversations with the development folks there, and I've made it clear that we really are in order for us to reactivate this program, we need to get at least 10 new members. So we need some ideas as to how to get to some Penn State folks. And so we've percolated some thoughts. And so just wanted to let you know that that topic hasn't gone away. It's just, it's a big lift. So it's going to take a little bit of effort to get that program back up to speed, but and obviously we won't make any final decision until we have some of these pieces in place, and we'll bring it back to the board for full consideration.
Can I interrupt for a minute, Linda? Sure. Sorry, I had to take a call in the middle, so I'm not sure if you went over this, but do we have a date, or at least a provisional date for the Scholar Showcase in the spring?
Provisional date is April 29th, but we are exploring the scholars calendars at both schools to make sure that that works for them. And if it doesn't, then Michelle and Leslie are going to come back with some alternative timeframes.
All right. If Michelle or Leslie, when they find out, if they could get in touch with the program committee so we know, because we're trying to schedule something not in the same month.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
And on our calendar, the big thing I wanted to mention is I had a conflict with the original date that was proposed for our annual meeting, so we pushed it by a week to June 25th. So wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And as Amy mentioned, we are pushing our newsletter date back a little bit, but everybody, let's see, Becky and Ann, I would love if you could do kind of a recap of some of the new members. Jean has promised to write up something for development. We'd love a program report, Lacey and Rosemary, on upcoming events, and a recap of the events that did take place. So if everybody could get that information to Amy by the end of this month, then we can get going on a winter newsletter. And any other ideas or information that you want to share that you find of interest. We'd love to feature a scholar. So if there's a scholar that has some interesting activity to go in the newsletter, that would be fabulous. So let us know. or any other ideas you might have.
Yep. I do have, could I just raise one question? I know we are going to be having a special presentation at the Western Conservancy. And I wanted to know, are we going to be asking any scholars to attend that? I know it's a small number who are, I think, what is it, 40 people? Is that what the cutoff was? I didn't know whether
the cutoff's 40 to 45.
Okay, I have a question because if we have a couple of students who are into conservation and water conservation or something like that, would that be something that we would want to maybe reach out particularly to a couple of scholars whose area of interest?
Yeah, I know we have one at Pitt whose area of interest is that.
Exactly. And I was just wondering whether we might want to
invite her.
Then don't we
Invite her.
currently have a scholar in the geology department at Pitt? Is that the one you're
Yes.
speaking of?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay.
she's part of the
Yeah,
endowment that I'm involved with.
right.
Right.
I
That would
think
be
that-
a good fit. I know that we're looking to invite a scholar alum who is, I believe, a professor at Pitt. It was in my report. I think her name's Emily Elliott. I don't know if any of you have met her already, but she works in this area. So she might even be the professor that works with that student. So those two together might be a nice fit.
Let's go.
My meeting's
So,
still.
Lacey, could we reserve like 2 slots of the 40 for scholars? And then,
think so.
or something like that, and then see,
You have to.
so that we have
They
like
can make it.
Yeah,
And again, I think it's worth asking them. I think that's a good idea, especially the one at Pitt who might know the professor we're hoping to bring in as well.
Right.
It is early. I don't know, we'll see if they're able to attend. It's from 4:30 to
Exactly. They may not
6:30.
be able, yeah, they may not be able to, but I think that it might be particularly nice for the geology, the current geology student.
Sure. All right. Well, Leslie, we'll be in touch about,
That's great.
the invitation is going out. I have it on my computer. Hold on. What date is the
It went
invitation
out
going
today.
out?
they went out
Is it
today.
going out today?
Yeah, today.
Yep, it went out.
Okay.
And it
Yep.
wasn't specific on if we were encouraged to bring guests or not, because it didn't have a number limitation. So
Okay. I know that Pam worked with Jenny, her contact at WPC, for that invitation. Maybe we'll see. Sarah's running the RSVP, I believe, so we can track how we're doing on invitations, and maybe on the reminder we can decide whether there's enough space to tell people to bring guests.
great. All right. Well, I signed up my husband, so if we need to eliminate him, if you need the other space, then happy to.
We won't
Happy to
tell
have
him
him stay
you
home.
you put him on the chopping block, so
That's
you
right.
go. Right?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Other topics, questions, comments? And we're 15 minutes early. All right. Well, thank you all. Have a stay warm. Oh, Becky.
Just wanted to just jog everybody's memory. I hope you can come on January 22nd to Ian's. We're having just a ARCS membership social, and there'll be food there. And if we would love to, we thought this would be a time where maybe our members would enjoy socializing with one another. We didn't invite scholars because it's, a busy time of year probably for them, or anyway, and Ian has a space limitation, but I hope everybody will consider coming, and, we'd love to see you. Love to.
How many people have RSVP'd to date?
Sarah and I've gotten about, the RSVPs are coming to me. I've got about 17 or 18 at this point.
Okay. So you still can,
great.
you still can accommodate 5 or 7 more.
At least 5 or 6 more.
Great. And Rosemary, you didn't see the invite?
No, I missed that, but
Okay.
who did it come from?
It probably would have come from the
From-
ARCS.
It came from ARCS.
ARCS.
Yeah, the ARCS.
Okay, I'll look for it. Great, thank you.
Sure. Hope you can come. All right, all. Thank you very much. Anything else? Anne, you look like you're going to say something.
Well, I didn't know for the meeting that was right after this, are you just staying on this Zoom meeting?
Sure.
That
Yes.
Paula had mentioned.
Yes. Is that okay, Paula?
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Yeah, we're just going to further our conversations on scholar ambassadors. So,
Okay, great.
all right, all. Thank you. Stay
Thank
warm.
you. Thank you
everybody.
very much. Your day,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Always nice to see you.
Yes.
Good to, thanks, Jean.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.